we lost 2-0. Not at our home, but at theirs. The Atletico Madrid fans were making the stadium shake. Every step I took, every touch I made, whistles, as if I was hearing this for the first time. But I am Cristiano Ronaldo. I had won in the stadium before. In front of these fans, wearing the Real Madrid shirt, I had scored goals right in front of their eyes. I beat them twice in the finals. Twice I lifted the championship trophy right under their noses. The lights were hitting my face. The whistles from the stands were getting louder. And at that moment, the voice inside me told me what I had to do. I slowly raised my hand. I opened my 5 fingers. I showed them 5. I shouted to the stands, 5 Champions Leagues, but it wasn't over yet. On my way to the locker room, the journalists were there, as always, not waiting to ask questions, just waiting to catch something. They didn't dare to extend their microphones, but I stopped as I passed by them. I showed my 5 fingers again. I have 5 Champions League trophies. I said, my voice was calm but determined. Atletico has 0, 5, 0. Some were shocked, some were smiling, but I had already moved on because I knew this was just the beginning. The real talking would happen on the pitch. When I got on the bus, I took out my phone. Social media was everywhere with my words. Ronaldo is arrogant. Ronaldo is disrespectful. Ronaldo humiliated them. I smiled. They didn't know. This wasn't arrogance. This was truth. And in 3 weeks, in Turin, I would show them all why my teammates were worried. Chiellini, Bonucci, Paulo, they all knew how difficult 2-0 was. Juventus had never overturned such a score in the Champions League before. Cristiano, Paulo said one day after training, do you really believe we can do it? I looked at him, I looked into his eyes. Paulo, I said, why do you think Juventus signed me? Why did they pay 100 million euros for these nights, for these miracles? I paused, then continued. Do you know how many times I've beaten Atletico? How many times I've broken their hearts? This is just another match. But this time, I'm going to prove something to the whole world. I was standing in the tunnel. Atletico's players were next to me. Godin, Juanfran, Oblak. I knew them all. They all knew me. And they were all afraid. I could see it in their eyes. Our fans were chanting, Juve, 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 40,000 people. All believing in a miracle because I would be on the pitch. When I walked onto the field, that familiar feeling came. Adrenaline, concentration, hunger. The feeling I get on those special nights. Champions League nights. Bernardeschi was advancing with the ball from the right wing. I was taking position in the penalty area. Juanfran was next to me, 34 years old, tired, slow. The ball went up in the air. That split second, that moment when time stops, I felt power in my legs. I jumped higher than Juanfran, stronger, header. The ball was in the net, goal. I ran to the corner, I cupped my hands to my ears toward the fans, more, louder. Then I did that move, I jumped in the air, shouted, see, my signature celebration. 1-0, 2-1, on aggregate, one more, just one more. The second half had started, 4 minutes in, Cancelo cross from the right, in the air again. I jump again between Godin and Jimenez, 2 giant center backs, but I went higher. Header, Oblak tried to save it. His hand reached out, he thought he got it out. But I knew the ball had crossed the line. The referee waited, goal line technology, checking, and then go, 2-0, 2-2, on aggregate. My teammates jump on me, but I knew there was no time to rest. One more to make history. Minutes were passing. If it was 3-3, we'd go to extra time, but I didn't want extra time. I wanted victory, now. Bernardeschi entered the penalty area, Correa pushing, a light touch, maybe a penalty, maybe not, but the referee blew the whistle. Penalty, I took the ball. Nobody spoke. Nobody said, I'll take it, because everyone knew. These moments were my moments. Oblak went to the goal, a good goalkeeper, but that night, that moment, that penalty, that was my destiny. I walked back, I took a deep breath, the stadium went silent, 40,000 people held their breath. I ran, my foot met the ball, power, control, perfection. The ball went into the net, 3-0. That moment went down in history. I went crazy, I ran, I took off my shirt, I showed my muscles, because 3 weeks ago they called me old, finished, not the same anymore. But there I was, 34 years old, hat trick, Atletico Madrid, Champions League. When the whistle blew, I dropped to my knees. I looked up at the sky, I thought of my father, I thought of that little boy from Madeira, the boy who had nothing but dreamed of everything. My teammates came to me. "This is why we signed you," said Chiellini with a smile. "This is exactly why." In the interview, the reporter asked, "Cristiano, Juventus had never made such a comeback in the Champions League. How do you feel?" I smiled. "Maybe that's why they signed me." I said, "Maybe that's exactly why I'm here." That night, when I got home, I opened my phone, everything was filled with my hat-trick. Videos, pictures, comments. But what I liked most was one tweet. Ronaldo told Atletico 5-0 3 weeks ago. Tonight he showed them 3-0. Legend. I smiled, because some people just talk, but legends talk on the pitch. And I am Cristiano Ronaldo, the man with 5 Champions League trophies, the man who is Atletico Madrid's nightmare. And that night, once again, I reminded the world who I am. The authors always motivate me, and they talk, I score goals,